Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about 9 things you may want to consider charging freelance clients for. My name is Mike Volkin. I am the lead instructor of Freelancer Masterclass. And before we get started, you should subscribe to our YouTube channel because we put out a lot of good content for freelancers. So the first thing I want you to consider when charging freelance clients is for meetings. Okay, a lot of freelancers don't charge for meetings. As a freelancer, your time is your money. So you should consider charging for meetings. If you don't, clients will take advantage of you. I had a client who asked for 3 hours of meetings a day. I had one-on-one meeting with him. And then I had not a one-on-one meeting. I had a meeting with him and his team. That was the second meeting. And the third meeting was just me and the team. Every single day we did this. And I realized very quickly that I should be charging for this. So I went back and I revised the agreement, and he agreed too, because it was only reasonable that I was taking up almost half of my day in meetings. Some clients just love meetings. So be sure to charge for them because, again, your time is your money as a freelancer. That's an extreme example though, but you should charge for meetings. Another one is rush work. Every client wants their work done yesterday. I don't like to use absolutes, but not every client. A lot of clients want their work done yesterday, and a lot of clients have artificial timelines. They might say that they want something done in 2 days when there's really no reason why it needs to be done in 2 days. They just put that timeline on you, and then you have to shuffle all your other freelance work just to get that work done because of this artificial deadline they put on. And really, a lot of clients don't understand the work that gets put into what you do. So when they say, 2 days from now, and it really might take 6 for you to comfortably do it, you have to be honest with that and say, listen, I don't feel comfortable doing the work in that timeline, but you really should charge for rush work, because if you don't, they're going to be giving you a lot of rush work that is going to force you to reprioritize and cause a muck in your daily routine as a freelancer. So be sure to charge for rush work. Now, you should have it in your agreement up front. You can't just say to a client, hey, you know what? This is a little bit faster than I feel comfortable. I'm going to have to shuffle a lot of things around. I'm going to charge you an extra $100 to do this. That causes a rift between you and the clients, okay? So have it in your contract, in your agreement before you sign with a client, and be sure to talk about it. Because a lot of times clients don't read agreements. They'll just sign it. But have it bold and say, listen, if you want work that is done, that is considered rush, and you should define what rush is, then you're going to charge X amount, which may be a set amount. You might say $150 for all rush work items. Or if it's an hourly contract, then you should say it should be an extra 15% or 10% or whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay. Research. Many times a client, let's take web design for an example. Many times a client will want you to bring them inspiration. Say, Mike, I want to build this website. Bring me 3 websites that you think would fit well with our company. Mike, I want you to design this logo. I don't do logo designs. I don't do websites, but I'm just using this as an example. Mike, I want you to design this logo. Bring me 3 logos that I could use as inspiration that we can start a collaboration process. All that research takes time. Again, your time as a freelancer is your money. So you may want to consider charging clients. Now, if you don't feel comfortable charging clients for research, you should at least put this in agreement. So if you do, you can always justify that, hey, this is in the agreement that if you ask me to do research for you, that I'm going to charge X amount of money. Okay. Revisions. This is a big one. Especially if you're in website design, because there seems to be an endless amount of revisions, and design work as well, like logos, for example. You should put in your agreement that you have a limit of revisions. Say 3 is a pretty typical number. So if you're building a website for someone, say, listen, after I give you a draft based on your specifications, which are clearly laid out, I'll give you 3 revisions at this cost, but every other revision will cost X amount of money. So if you don't do that, you should definitely consider charging revisions, because clients can go on and on with revisions. Scope creep. This is a term that a lot of freelancers use and a lot of agencies use. These are items that are outside the typical agreement. So your agreement should clearly show the scope of work. That's where the word scope comes from. So let's stick with the same example of website design, okay? You're designing a website for a client, and when it's done, it's going to get published, and the client asks you to do some on-page SEO work, which, by the way, a web designer shouldn't do because it's a totally different skill set. It's like asking a plumber to do some carpentry work. But I do know a lot of web designers that try to stick it in because there's some tools, good or not, there are some tools that can do on-page SEO for you pretty easily. So a client will ask you to do some SEO for you that is not a part of the agreement, and that's called scope creep. So they're asking you to do work that's outside of the scope of the agreement. You should absolutely charge for that. Software and tools. Now, I'm a marketer, and there's a lot of tools that automate certain things that I do. For example, let's stick with the SEO work. There are tools that I subscribe to that are over $100 a month, and they save the client money. So it's automated. It will, a 6-hour project could take 1 hour because it takes away a lot of manual work with these tools. So why would you not pass it on to your client? You could tell a client, listen, I have this tool that I charge, that I pay for, and instead of charging you 6 hours of work, I would only need to charge you 1, but I'll need to pass off the cost of this tool for you or to you. And they'll agree to that because they see that it saves them money. Now, a lot of freelancers don't tell them that they're using tools, and they'll just charge the 6 hours in this case as an example. If you want to do that, that's your prerogative. But I always tell the client, listen, I'll be using this tool that will save 5 hours of work, but I'll need you to pay for the month for me to use this tool for you. So consider what tools you use to save your clients money, and be sure to charge for that. Number 7, late payments. This is a big one. Clients will take advantage of paying late. And generally what I do as a business practice is I give a one-time courtesy. I'll say, listen, this payment is 5 days overdue. I'll send a nice letter. My time is my money. I need to get paid on time. Next time, per the agreement, I will need to charge a late payment of X amount. And usually I have a daily rate. And you should consider doing that if you don't already do that, because some clients just either they're too busy or they just don't see the value in paying on time. Maybe they have a cash flow problem. There's 1,000 reasons why they might not pay on time, but you should absolutely do that. And God forbid you should have to go to court and recover a payment. And if it's not in your agreement that you're charging late payments, if you take someone to court, they could be paying you over a year later than when it's due, and you can't recover any of that. Cancellations and meetings. Okay, here's my policy on this. This is kind of controversial, but not nearly as controversial as the next point I'm going to bring up. I have a Calendly account, which allows my clients to schedule an appointment with me. Now, when you schedule an appointment with me, whether it's a half an hour or an hour, I am setting aside time for my client. That means I'm not in meetings with other clients charging them. If you cancel on me in less than an hour, I will charge you for that. Okay, it's because my time as a freelancer is my money. Now, generally, I'm very honest, almost to a fault. And if I can fill that canceled time with work from a client, another client, I will tell them, listen, it is in our policy, it is in our agreement that you canceled within an hour, and I was luckily able to fill my time with other client work, but if I was not able to, I would have charged you for that. I know freelancers who charge a day prior. Their day is already full, and their work is mostly advisory, so their meetings are their time. And if you cancel within the day, they will charge you. You should consider a policy like that too. And if you don't want to actively use that policy, you should at least have it in your agreement that canceled meetings within a certain timeline are charged at X amount or whatever rate you want to charge at. Usually it's your hourly rate. Now the controversial one, processing fees. I'd say it's probably split about 50-50 with all the freelancers I talk to. Processing fee is a credit card fee, a wire fee. And a lot of people outside of the US like to charge processing fees. It might be a cultural thing. I am personally against it. I don't charge processing fees. I absorb it as a cost of business. So I put it in my hourly rate. I put it in my per project rate. So if I charge a client $10,000 to do something, the processing fees of paying by credit card, usually it's 2.9%. That is included in the price. I include that in the price of the quote that I give the client. If I'm hiring a freelancer and you charge me a processing fee, you're not going to get hired again. I stop the relationship right there. Because I make it clear to every freelancer I hire up front that the proposal you're sending me is what I will be paying. That's why it all goes back to transparency. I can have 5 full hours of different podcasts and YouTube videos. By the way, if you don't subscribe to my podcast, here's a plug, Freelancer School. Go ahead and subscribe to it. But I can have 5 different guests on filling 5 hours of shows about people disagreeing with me on this. But if you charge me a processing fee, I will not hire you as a freelancer because I appreciate and expect transparency up front. If I hire you for 5 hours of work at $50 an hour, that I expect a $25 or a $250 bill from you. $5 of work, yeah. Make sure I did my math there. I don't want to see an extra fee on there for paying with credit card. And you might say, oh, Mike, well, it's a luxury to pay by credit card. You should be paying me with an ACH transaction because I know you get credit card points and bonuses or mileage or whatever. Then fine, absorb that in your cost. But let's not dwell on that. Whether you agree or disagree, it's something you should consider charging your client. I personally am against it. Okay, so use these tips to your advantage to make more money and justify some of your fees and your time. Thanks very much.